The Claw Woman. Incarnation. Prologue. Before people knew the true nature of the forest, before shadows crept between light and darkness, there was only the dense silence of the forest. The dense foliage, bathed in the early dawn light, seemed to hide secrets that no one dared to discover. But the silence was never complete. Beneath the bark of the old trees and deep within the roots, magic pulsed, alive and conscious, waiting to be awakened. In that forest lived a creature that people could never have known existed. The Claw Woman. Her name was a whisper among the leaves and the wind, a presence that belonged neither to the world of men nor to the magical world. In her creaturely body, with sharp claws and eyes that sparkled in green and silver, she lived in harmony with the forest, with the animals and spirits that recognized her as a part of them. But every time she looked at the world of men, she felt a strange calling, that of connecting two worlds that feared each other. Legends spoke of the Gromy land, the realm of shadows and pure magic, hidden and inaccessible to most. Sometimes, a few creatures escaped and wandered into the world, bringing fear and confusion. And yet, the forest was not only a refuge for magical beings. It was also a place of balance, a testing ground for those who would have the courage to face its mysteries. On nights with a full moon, it was said that those who stepped too deep felt the call of the forest. The rustling of leaves became words, the forest shadows moved like guides, and the wind brought whispers of ancient spirits. The Claw Woman knew that magic was not only a power, but also a responsibility. She was the link, the invisible bridge between the realms, but also the fragile guardian of the balance between them. This is the story of a being who will learn that true power lies not in domination, but in the choice to protect, to bind, and to witness the worlds that intersect. The story of a creature who must choose, not only between light and darkness, but between fear and compassion, between loneliness and the responsibility of being the bridge of life. And the beginning of this story begins here, in the heart of the forest that whispers and waits, ready to receive the one who can see not with the eyes, but with the heart. Chapter 1. The Spell of Incarnation. The forest around the castle was silent that evening, as if nature itself was holding its breath before a mysterious act of birth. The sky, shaded by heavy clouds, let moonlight slip through the crowns of the old trees, and their trembling light gathered on the stones of the altar in the sacred garden. In the middle of that stone circle, Queen Linyara stood tall, dressed in a cloak of dark green velvet, with gold embroidery that reflected sparks from the torches. She breathed deeply, smelling the damp moss, the leaves burned by the autumn wind and the fresh resin. Everything was ready for her first true spell, for that act that her audacity and her heart's desire had transformed into destiny. In front of her, the Claw Woman, the creature of the forest, feared and revered alike, waited. Her eyes sparkled green in the darkness, and her body, created in the Gromy land, formed of a palm with 6 clawed fingers and a female face inside the palm. Long fingers, ending in sharp claws. Linyara looked at her with emotion. The Claw Woman was not only a living legend, but also the promise of a pact between the kingdom and the unseen forces of the forest. As long as the creature remained bound to the world of shadows, her voice could be fully understood by humans, and her help could not be fully earned. The incarnation spell was supposed to provide a body, to bind the spirit to flesh, without robbing it of its magical origin. The queen raised the ivory staff she had inherited from her mother.It was carved with the ancient runes of the first gods, and its tip, made of translucent crystal, pulsed like a living heart. Suddenly, the silence of the forest deepened, as if the sounds of the world had been absorbed in a single moment. Into the body you descend, spirit of the forest, without losing your root, without breaking your flight. Linyara spoke, her voice vibrating with the power she summoned. The crystal lit, and its light poured over the Claw Woman. Her shadows contorted, oscillating between forms, as if two worlds were fighting for the same body. The rustling of the leaves turned into a chorus of whispers, invisible voices raising prayers to the stars. The Claw Woman felt the pain of incarnation. It was like a rupture and a fusion at the same time. Invisible bones were being born in her, muscles were congealing, skin was settling over the shapes of a human silhouette. And yet, her eyes retained the glow of the forest, and her hair, even though it had been tamed into a long mane, carried shadows of grass and wind. Her thoughts were divided. One part of her wanted to run free through the darkness of the forest, the other part felt for the first time the weight, safety and warmth of the human body. When the spell ended, the silence shattered like a mirror. The claw woman now stood on human feet, naked, but firm, and her hands were the same beautiful, but closed with translucent claws that vibrated with power. Her skin shone pale, like milk, and seemed to absorb the moonlight. The queen lowered her staff, tired, but with her heart full of triumph. She approached the creature and touched its cheek, warm and soft, but as if still quivering with magic. "Now you are ours, and also the forest's," whispered Linyara. "The bridge between the worlds has been raised." The claw woman looked up at the queen. For the first time, her lips formed a human smile, and her voice, harsh as the wind through the branches, said, "I have a body, but my root does not break. I remain the call of the forest. But now I can walk beside you." The queen looked at her with gratitude and fear. She realized that she had not defeated the creature, nor had she tamed it. She had bound it to the world, but without taking away its freedom. Tea was a fragile balance, a pact that could bring salvation or destruction, depending on how their steps would be from now on. The torches crackled, and the wind brought a murmur from the forest like a warning. Nature, although silent until then, claimed its right to watch over the new incarnation. The queen and the claw woman both knew that the spell was not only the beginning of a connection, but also the beginning of trials. Thus ends the first night of the incarnation spell, a night in which a queen risked her soul, and a forest creature received a body. From that moment on, neither the kingdom nor the forest would be the same again.